SmartSuite AI Field Agents is the topic of today's video. Field agents offer an astonishingly simple and native way to integrate AI into your workflows. They are great at analyzing, summarizing, reviewing, and assessing data in your records, no matter how complex that data might be. They are very easy to set up and operate, and they don't require any specific LLM knowledge. Yet the results they deliver are extremely valuable. So let's dive in. A field agent is a prompt, a written instruction that is injected into the settings of a specific field. It can be run manually or automatically, and when executed, a field talks to a selected AI model in real time and displays back the result. The true power of field agents comes from their ability to use values of other fields and other agents. This means that a field agent can have the context of the entire record every time it executes. But before we dive into details, let's first see how we can enable the feature globally on the workspace level. Under Workspace Administration, look for the new menu, AI Control Center. From AI Field Agents section, you can enable or disable the feature globally. When enabled, you'll get 100 free agent runs that are typically used during trial periods. But of course, to use agents to their full potential, you are expected to provide your own API key. And at the time of this recording, it must be OpenAI key, but eventually we will add the ability to connect to all the leading vendors in the space. Finally, you have an option to turn off the web search capability. This will force all agents to operate exclusively based on data they received from SmartSuite records. Now let's see how you can turn a regular field into a field agent. Under Field Settings, you'll find a new tab, AI Field Agent. But remember, it will only show up if the feature was enabled on the workspace level. Now you can enable agent mode for this specific field. And when you do so, you'll get an input for the prompt and other controls that we're going to talk about in a second. Can any field be turned into an agent? Well, not all of them, but the list of supported field types already includes those that you would use most often. And the list will keep on growing. I will replicate an agent that we're widely using in our GRC incident management solution. An agent will analyze an incident's details and define its criticality. It's a simple use case, but I'm sure it's relatable to pretty much anyone watching this video. We'll start by picking up a model, and let's go with one of the most recent ones because generally they produce better results. Now let's build the actual prompt, as this is the core of any field agent. And you will notice that the input supports rich text formatting, paragraphs, bullets, bolts, links, so you can paste a prompt from ChatGPT or any other tool and it will preserve its original formatting. But of course, the most important thing is the ability to insert field variables into your prompt, and you can use any field from a record. And just like in automation, those are dynamic, so every time the agent runs, it pulls the latest values from all those fields. Here's an important rule. Your prompt must include at least one field reference. By default, any agent runs manually. You click a button, it executes. You can trigger it from the grid view, the record page, and the record details widget. Simply click on that lightning icon. But you can also enable automatic runs, and when turned on, the agent will fire every time any field referenced in the prompt changes its value. Just think how powerful that is. Someone updates the incident description and the criticality gets re-evaluated instantly. But of course, you can keep automatic runs off and only trigger agents manually when needed. If web browsing is enabled at the workspace level, you will see an option to allow it for each specific agent as well. When switched to on, the AI model can search the internet as a part of its analysis. This is great for things like enrichment, pulling in company details, validating addresses, checking regulatory references. When turned off, the agent is restricted to the data you give it through the prompt. And keep in mind, this option only shows up for models that support web browsing. If the model can search, you won't even see this toggle. Field agents can also work with files, and there are two ways to do this. First, static files. You can attach documents directly to the agent settings. Think of it as a reference material, a policy document, a classification framework, a product catalog. These files get sent to the model each time the agent runs. Second way, dynamic files. You can insert files and images fields into your prompt just like any other field type. In this case, the agent pulls whatever files are stored in those fields and sends them to the model. This is perfect when each record has its own attachments, invoices, contracts, screenshots. And the cool thing is that you can combine both approaches in the same agent. Using field agents with single or multiple select fields has a unique feature. When your agent works inside a select field, it doesn't just return text, it maps its answers to the existing options. So if you have added choice descriptions or numeric values to your options, the agent sees those too. So you don't need to explain them in your prompt. You may just say something like, based on the choice description, pick the most appropriate option. And the model will understand this. And this concludes the overview of this first phase of SmartSuite AI Field Agents. We have more updates on the roadmap, so be sure you follow us closely not to miss any of those. And I will see you in the next one.